If you're getting frustrated with your plantar fasciitis treatment, not getting resolution, then this is the talk for you. We're going to talk about the fastest way to cure your plantar fasciitis and some of the common things that happen that won't get you that full resolution if you've had plantar fasciitis for a while. So here is the answer. You have to get to the source of the problem, and that is the problem. So often our healthcare system, we tend to treat a symptom. So we find tightness and we just want to release the tightness. Well, if it's been there for a while, you have to get to why did it tighten up? Otherwise, it's just going to tighten right back up again. And you're going to be frustrated that I'm still having these problems. You'll also hear from the doctors and other healthcare providers, just stretch your plantar fasciitis. And all you have to do is stretch. And they're given all these different ways to stretch, but they're not getting full resolution. We're going to talk about that. Other things that happen, you go to the doctor and they want to boot you, which is great. It reduces the irritation, fantastic. But then they're just told to go back to their daily activities like it's no big deal. And their body's like, I've been in a boot. I haven't been used for a while. And now you basically want me to go and do everything again. And your body's going to revolt against that. That would be like saying, I haven't trained for a marathon, but I'm just going to go ahead and run 26 miles today. Your body's going to literally say, screw you. I'm going to make you hurt. I'm not ready for this. And that's kind of what happens. So where do we go wrong in the treatments? Part of it is kind of like what I've talked about. We're treating a symptom. We're not getting to why the problem is actually happening to begin with. And so, in our medical system, we tend to go and only look at the foot and only look at the tissue. So if you're a massage therapist, you're only going to look at the tissue. If you're a chiropractor, a lot of times you're only going to look at the joint. If you're a physical therapist, you're only going to look at the strengthening piece of it. And so sometimes it's really a combination of everything. You've got to really fully do an evaluation to figure out what's going on. But we're going to talk about two treatments that we literally don't look, that just gets pushed aside and not looked at. So here's our phases of treatment, and here's part of our problem. So the first problem is no one really checks that mobility. You can have where you have a loss of mobility, like you literally can't pull your foot up the same as the other side, or you can't point your toes down and add some pressure. It either hurts or it won't go compared to the other side. And you all notice that there is a mobility loss. Well, when you have a mobility loss, one of the things that it can do is it can produce pain on the bottom of your foot. And you can do all the soft tissue, all the strengthening, all the things that you want to do to that plantar fascia. But if you don't fix that part of it, you are missing what's going on. So we had a patient that came into our office, and she came in from San Antonio. And we had talked to her on the phone, trying to talk her through a few things. But it's really hard when we don't see people to really fully do an evaluation, see kind of how the body moves. And I basically said it's one of two things that someone's missing. The first one is they're not checking your mobility and seeing if the ankle is actually really moving. And the second one is no one's taking you through a strengthening progression program, which is the other phase that people miss. So when she came into the office, drove up from San Antonio, we did her assessment, and sure enough, it was the mobility piece. So we gave her some self-mobilizations. I'm going to show you in the next few slides what that looks like. And she was off and running. She's like, oh my God, this feels so much better. So you have to check the mobility before you can get to the stability, which is the strengthening. I added soft tissue in there. Soft tissue is always a component to it, but soft tissue alone won't fix it because you got to get to why the tissue is tightening up. So then we can get into the strengthening phase, which is just figuring out which muscles are weak, specifically the ones on the bottom of the foot. Those are the ones where when you can, if you pull your toes down and you try to pull your toes straight, you'll notice that it'll be pretty easy for you to do that. That's a strengthening issue. We have got to fix that. The muscles that are small, that are on the bottom of the foot, if they can't support you, what happens is your body will, your plantar fascia becomes that stability, and that gets irritated, it pulls on the heel and starts giving us some issues. So we have to get that piece of it strengthened so those muscles can support the body and not the plantar fascia solely. So that's where the strengthening comes into play. Soft tissue definitely comes into play. Those go hand in hand. And then eventually we have to progress that strengthening so that our body can take that load. It's very similar to, again, let me use the marathon analogy where you go out and you train for a marathon and you gradually build up your distance so that your body can tolerate taking that load, so that your body doesn't hurt as bad when you run that marathon. Well, we have to do the same thing with the strengthening, gradually build that load of that tissue to get you back to exactly what you want to get back to doing. And so those are really the 3 phases of treatment. So first, joint mobility. You have got to test the motion and you've got to test it in range. Does it move the same way as the other foot? Putting overpressure at end range gives you a lot of information, because you can point the toes and they look even, but as soon as you add overpressure, you'll notice one foot might be able to go a lot farther than the other foot, or one foot's like, "Ooh, that doesn't feel good," compared to the other foot. Those are issues. Those are things that can be taken care of, but we have to check that first. The common treatment for if you have a mobility, and this is common, not always the only treatment, but it is a common one that we use all the time, is when you basically put your foot and you push down on that foot. So put your foot up on a step, have your heel hanging off. You push through your knee to get as much, almost like you're stretching the back of your calf, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're actually trying to stretch the joint. So we push down and we lean forward. We push that knee forward. It's almost like you want to get your foot to your shin. Obviously, it doesn't get to your shin, but that's the motion that we're trying to go for. So you have pressure on, pressure off, pressure on, pressure off. You may feel a soreness at the end, you let up, you can kind of feel it, and then it goes away. But you'll notice as we keep on doing this, that all of a sudden the pain on the bottom of the foot can start going away. So this is a common treatment for the mobility. Let's go into strengthening. So strengthening in soft tissue. So definitely you've got to do some soft tissue things, but one of the things that we give our clients is a golf ball, something firm, something small, can't be very big. And you basically can put pressure through that and hit points of your foot that are tender to help kind of release some of that tightness. It's definitely something that needs to get done as we start working on strengthening. So if strengthening really is an issue, those muscles on the bottom of the feet are really weak, then as we work them, they're going to kind of tighten up. So we're going to have to continually kind of release them. Using a golf ball is going to help you continually kind of release some of the tightness that happens as we work on some of the strengthening. So golf ball, roll on the bottom of the foot. When you find the pressure points that don't feel very good, hold it there, kind of breathe, work it out a little bit, find another spot and work that. Do that every day to kind of help, release some of that tightness. So some strengthening examples that you can do. One is you can balance on one foot or just balance on both feet, shift your weight over to the side that's the problem side, to where you have more weight on that side. And you're going to push your toes into the ground, trying to lift your arch while you're kind of balancing there. You can start out with both feet on the ground, shift to one side, or you can start out with one foot where you're actually balancing doing that. That can be really hard. Your arch can actually cramp if it's really weak. So you can definitely start out with both feet. Hold it 10, 15 seconds, do it 3-4 times and build up the tolerance of being able to hold it longer and longer, or get to the point where you can do single leg and hold that position on the ground. Another one that's really common that we do is pressing your toes. So get a TheraBand and you put a TheraBand on the ground and you actually step on it. Step on the TheraBand, pull the TheraBand up towards your body. So your whole foot's on the TheraBand. When you pull that band up, it pulls those toes up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to push your toes into the band. And then you bring it back up and push the toes into the band. That's going to start working on the bottom of your foot muscles to start working on some strengthening. So these are 2 great examples of strengthening exercises that you can do to start out. And of course, these need to be progressed, just like running a marathon. You've got to progress your distance so you can take more of a load. We've got to progress these exercises to get you stronger and stronger as we go through the strengthening phase of your foot. So those are my top tips definitely, subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of free resources at our website, www.empower-pt.com. We have blogs that we write all the time with great links and education. Those, again, are on our blog section of the website. We do podcasts, again, all the time. Check out our podcasts. You can either find those on our website at empower-pt.com, or we're on Apple and SoundCloud. And if you want to work with us, there's definitely links below where you can get a free discovery visit if you live in the DFW area, to where we can sit down, have a conversation, go through all the things that you may be doing and why they're working or why they're not working, or what are some of the missing links that are happening, to kind of help you make a better decision about your health. So find those links down below, and I hope you enjoyed the information.